Hey guys, my name is Heather Lindsey.
And my name is Cornelius Lindsey.
And I'm so excited that you landed on Life with the Lindseys.
This is so exciting. This gives us an opportunity to share our life with yours.
Yes, we're going to be talking about everything from entrepreneurship to ministry to your purpose to why you are here, family, parenting, relationships, marriage, sex, you name it. We are talking about it.
So thank you so much for joining us today with Life with the Lindseys. Enjoy it.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of Life with the Lindseys. My name is Cornelius Lindsey.
And my name is Heather Lindsey. And as you guys have noticed lately, we have brought on some shakers and movers that are in the Christian world. Like, we've been interviewing some really amazing people, and we are interviewing somebody today who is the founder of the Glorify app. And I just want to first I want to welcome Henry with us. Thank you for being a part of this. I'm Henry Costa. We really appreciate you.
And before we get started, so Henry's in the United Kingdom. It may get a little choppy somewhere. Yeah. The audio may get a little choppy. The video may get a little choppy, but just kind of bear with us. Again, it's the information we want to get to you guys. We really want to let you know while the Glorify app is a number one app right now that's going to take over the entire Christian market. So Henry, really excited to have you on board with us.
Yes.
So great to be here. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about him before we get started. So the topic of our podcast today is building a Christian multi-million-dollar business with Henry Costa from Glorify. We have so many listeners right now, so many entrepreneurs, and they're really excited about hearing your story. So in 2019, Henry co-founded a daily worship and meditation app called Glorify. You guys, pause this podcast and go download the app. It is so good. It has taken my quiet time to another level. The meditations, the daily worship, it's been amazing.
Yeah, with something like somebody who deals with anxiety. Yeah, I feel like those the opportunities during the day to be able to stop and use the meditation principles is very helpful.
Yes, it's so good. Henry started his career in finance before joining the British military, which I think is huge. Thank you for your service. He later moved to Africa as a part of a founding team at Jumo World, which he became the largest mobile lending company in Africa. Isn't that amazing? Employing 350 people and raising over $100 million. He holds multiple board positions, advisory positions, and he's also an active angel investor. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah. So you started the Glorify app. Okay. In the world of a million apps, I mean, you can go in the app store and get overwhelmed. What made you say, okay, this is the app that I need to start?
Yeah. So I think you're completely right. We are overly saturated with apps, but I was so passionate that we should be overly saturated with the right apps. And we should look at what the secular world has done, and they've made us all addicted to these, awful and mind-numbing apps, when actually, why don't we build the best team and use those amazing habit-forming techniques, but put it in, getting people addicted to the Word of God is so much better than addicted to social media. And that's what I really looked at wanting to do, was build something that was best in class, solving a problem, but also just impacting so many people. So for me, it really came down to, not only did I look at the need, but I thought there was a massive need in the Christian market for something that could rival the quality of secular technology. So I was worried that Christians were going to be, relegated to second-class tech citizens, and we were going to lose the young. We were just going to lose everyone because there wasn't a way for us to keep up. And a lot of that was because it was massively underfunded. The Christian tech sector was 10 years behind secular, and it was just no money had gone into it. So we didn't have the best people. We didn't have the best experience. We don't have the best products. And I saw that and I thought, we've got to change this. We've got to do this in a different way. We've got to do it in a commercial model so I can get the best team possible, use my experiences from before, and provide to Christians a best-in-class product and user experience, and hopefully impact how they connect with God every day. And that's what we're all about, and something that I'm really passionate about. And if you start with your passions, I think the rest follows.
I love that. But I think a burning question I have is, tell us more about yourself first before we start getting into more of the why. But we'd love to hear your background, what made you decide, to start it. We know that reason, but just help us understand who you are first as a person.
Yeah. So I'm, born in the UK. I'm from London, and I've grown up, with the church has been a core part of my life forever. My father was a preacher. And so, that was a huge part of our life. And every Sunday, our table was surrounded by worship leaders and preachers and everything. I knew that I had a calling to do something with God, but I didn't know. I didn't know what that could be if it wasn't for the church. But I never thought that my calling would be for the church, and that's where now I've realized where it could be. And I grew up in London. I started life in as you said in finance, and then I've got a bit of an adventurous streak and decided to join the military, which was amazing. And then to Africa, where we had such an incredible journey there, and and hopefully impacted a lot of people's lives out there, and that became my journey, was looking at. I love technology, I love adventure, and I love impacting things for the positive and trying to mesh those together. Technology's had so many positives in our world, but also so many negatives. But if we all look at how we can use technology to harness the positives, then I think we're winning.
Wow. Well, I love that you mentioned something, and you mentioned a little while ago, and you were talking about, really finding your passion. And, I think this really rings true to my wife and I pastored for almost 10 years, over 8 years in Atlanta, and then 2 years in Mississippi. But I pastored for almost 10 years. And out of those 10 years, the word of God is something that's still, very near and dear to my heart. Now, at the beginning of this year, I turned my church over to another pastor to kind of to lead it and to move and to go forward. But one thing that you said that I think is so important, and we learned this during the pandemic, that technology is something that we as Christians, we cannot afford to become second in. Many churches found themselves at a deficit because they were not, tech savvy. They were not live streaming.
Yeah.
They did not understand, how to get the word out to people and get the message out to people. So a lot of parishioners just weren't getting fed. And then along with that, with the parishioners who were trying to be fed, we didn't have the best tools to be able to provide the best product. So I love that you are utilizing technology to be able to get the word of God to people and really be able to get it to people in a very convenient way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's brilliant. So, I guess as you guys were talking, I was thinking, like, the app is a great idea, right? But what made you pull the plug to say, I am going to put this thing together? Because I think a lot of people have a lot of ideas that they literally take to the grave, right? They have all these ideas, all these visions, and it sounds like you're adventurous. You have big ideas. But what made you say, I am going to invest in myself and I'm going to pull the plug and this is going to change people's lives?
That's always the really hard thing, because I also have loads of ideas, but a lot of them are rubbish, and so it's all about kind of weighing that up. But I think in this one, I was so passionate about. There were three things that I wanted to achieve. And it needed to be something I was deeply passionate about. Otherwise, I wasn't going to follow through, and maybe I get bored with it. It needed to be something that was massively impactful, because that would make me know that I was doing good and that I would, be passionate about and continue being passionate about. And what I always tell people is, if this doesn't work, if this isn't around in 2 years' time, I don't think that's going to be the case. But if that is the case, we've still impacted, a million of people's lives for the positive. That's cool. So, and then the third thing is I wanted to build something that could be really big and truly global. And so as I was assessing every one of my opportunities and, or every one of my ideas, and I'm speaking to anyone who would listen to me, and I'd just, start getting that feedback. And the problem is close friends don't give you the feedback that you want. Your close friends won't tell you that your idea is useless. They'll always just be encouraging. That's not what you need. When you're assessing an idea, you need someone who actually says it to you true. And it's quite hard to find that person. So, but you can, I always try to find strangers, or people that I've only just met. or people who had no ties to me, so they didn't feel like they needed to offend me. Or there are some amazing, surveys that you can do to anonymous people, asking questions, gathering data, understanding habits, really to help assess your idea. And I did a lot of that. And I started gathering then a picture of, okay, there is a problem here. There is a big market for it. People do need it. And then when I had that conviction from seeing that data, we started very small and we built something that was when we first launched it onto the App Store, it wasn't very good. It was just okay.
Yeah.
But from there, and that's where you just got to start with something. And then from there, we just looked at the data and we followed the data, and we're now, we're in such a great position. I'm so blessed to be where we are. And, we have, a lot of people really loving the app. So, we've improved it a lot. It looks very different to how it did when we first did it. You got to start somewhere.
And I think that's usually how it goes. In the very beginning, the first product is typically not, the first product is typically not the best product. But, when you get it out there and you finally get it in front of people and you can start to refine it and you can start to make it a little bit better, then that product looks a lot better. But the people who see it now don't have a clue all the back work that you put into it to make it exactly what it is today.
I want to take a break, but I want to talk about that building part.
Absolutely.
But let's really take a quick break. And I want to talk about one of my favorite, I believe America's #1 meal kits, HelloFresh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's always great because that means I don't have to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
That means that all the recipes there, so I can't mess up the recipe. Right. All the food is there. And I just show you pictures.
And it's really easy for me because all I have to do is point at a picture and say, that one.
Exactly.
Chicken.
Usually when I'm being super creative and I give you ideas, you're like, I don't know how that's going to taste. Or how is it going to look? And I'm like, look, here's the pictures.
Like pictures with colors on them. It's so easy.
They made that for men, I think.
Make that.
I think they made it for men.
It's beautiful.
But we love HelloFresh. It offers 50 different menu and market items each week, including ready-to-eat salads, sandwiches, and soups. There's something for everybody to enjoy, especially for like our family when I don't eat meat and you do.
I am a carnivore.
There's so many options. It's got high quality, fresh ingredients that are sourced directly from growers and delivered farm to your door under a week, contract free. Of course, you can cancel at any time. HelloFresh is 28% cheaper than shopping at your local grocery store and 72% cheaper than a restaurant meal without sacrificing the quality.
So y'all go to HelloFresh.com/LWL14. Yes. Again, that's LWL14 and use code LWL14. Here's why. Because you get 14 free meals.
I'm about to sign up
shipping.
myself.
So I'm going to do it again.
Again.
Go to HelloFresh.com/LWL14 and use code LWL14 for up to 14 free meals plus free shipping. It is this is America's #1 meal kit.
Period.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I love it. So we are back and we're talking to Henry. And I love that you put your product out. And if you're just out doing it, he's the founder of the Glorify app, but you put your product out. It was good, but now you're saying it's even better. And I think that sometimes people quit along the way because they feel like, oh, maybe that comparison thing and it's not perfect enough. So it almost paralyzes people to the point where you don't even want to try. So what made you push past that and say, no, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to improve and I'm going to get better?
Lots of soul searching, but I think to say it was good would be an overstatement at the start. I think it was pretty average. So I wouldn't have succeeded if we hadn't changed it, we hadn't iterated, and we hadn't listened. So, we had, these benchmarks that we said, well, this is where we've got to hit. And if we hit here, then we're doing really well. And if we hit here, we're doing okay. And if we hit here, then we go and get new jobs. And we were like somewhere between here and here, like in like the not very good, maybe you should think about a new career place. But we were so confident about what we were doing, and we were so confident about the mission of it, and we had conviction, and we'd come a long way. The initial data sets, weren't going to put us off. So if you've got that conviction at the beginning, then, you've got to be ready to hit a couple of hurdles when when they're there and a couple of bumps in the road, because they'll come, and those bumps are sometimes hills and often mountains. So we then just spoke to a lot of users and a lot of customers and just looked and tried to understand and spoke to as many people as possible, because the biggest problem I found is that you build something for yourself with your own problems and for your own needs and for your own habits. Well, actually, you're just a data sample of one, and the chances are that you will hit some of the areas where other people want it, but some of the areas won't overlap. And what you've got to do is divorce yourself from that process and say, well, let's just speak to the market. Let's speak to people. Let's speak to customers. Let's understand what they want. Let's look at what the data is saying. And from there, we refined it. And, now we're super happy as to where we've come since then. It's been, an exciting journey.
Let me ask you this question, because you mentioned the data, you mentioned, doing the surveys, you mentioned talking to the people. So when talking to the people and doing the surveys, I'm interested, and I'm quite sure people who are listening, they're very interested to know, what was the data saying? What were people looking for? And I don't know if it's specific to the Glorify app, but what was it? What is it that people are looking for? What is it that people are hungry for? What is it people say, hey, as Christians, or as, people who are searching, what is it that I'm searching for? I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know if I found it, but I'm looking for this. What was that? Or what were those things?
Yeah. I mean, that's great, because that was what's really interesting. So people were looking for a few things. So firstly, people wanted their quiet time, their daily quiet time, that 10 minutes time to connect with God. They wanted it structured for them. They wanted a framework for it. They wanted it short and manageable and bite-sized. So if they've got 5 minutes to do this, and it's in the car, and there are kids around, or it's chaotic, or you're really busy, or you can do it in that 5 minutes. You can listen to it, or you can read it. But if you do have an hour, then there's also that for you as well. So it's that flexibility that people really wanted.
Yeah.
But they wanted structure. They didn't want to search for it. They just wanted it delivered to them. But they also wanted to be encouraged to do it. They wanted to see a reward of them doing it every day. So we have streaks, and the more days you do in a row, the more streaks. People really wanted that, because they wanted that little bit of encouragement to come back. Taking that friction away from, I often found in my daily quiet time, with the Bible, but what if the Bible wasn't with me? Or what if I was on the tube, and I'm trying to, well, that's a London Underground transport
train
thing. But if you're on the metro, or you're on the bus, pulling out your Bible in a cramped place and searching through and reading a certain section, and which section is that? That was people that I was struggling with, and it seems like lots of people struggling with. So that was a core part that people really wanted. But then where we've seen really surprising, or unfortunately not necessarily surprising, but people are really struggling with anxiety, and they're really struggling with sleep. And so, and especially now in this last year. And so our meditations, our declarations, our prayers, our music, we've got all sorts of exclusive music by some of the best worship leaders in the world.
Wow.
They have music to help you sleep, to help you deal with anxiety, the meditations. That's where we've seen a really big, people who get, use a lot, and really helps them kind of overcome things that they're dealing with.
I've really felt like the anxiety piece was going to be a huge piece. It's like, even, now after pastoring, I found myself in that soul care arena. And one of the biggest things that I see with a lot of people, and I primarily work with other pastors and other high level leaders. And one of the things that I'm beginning to see, especially amongst many of them, is there's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
A lot of guys they aren't sleeping. And then, the mental health right now amongst a lot of leaders is extremely, extremely troubling, to the point where, I have many of them that, if they have not been depressed to the point of suicide, then they have just kind of been lost in that ditch of suicide. So to be able to have a resource that can be able to help people, especially these leaders, because I cannot stress that enough.
That's real.
In the field that I'm in right now, and I know that people, they do soul care and life coaches, all that kind of stuff, and they provide it for lay members. But for the leaders out there, for our pastors and people like that who if I'm honest with you, probably aren't even having quiet time. They're probably not even doing those things because they see that their time of studying the Bible or something like that is considered their quiet time. So they're not studying. They're not taking the time to focus because they're tired or they're worn down. So I really love that you have a resource that is really good to help them.
No, definitely. Um, let's take a break really quick. And I have a question about how you build a team. So you can think about that as we take our break really quick. I think it's interesting that you were just mentioning anxiety and not really dealing with the trauma from 2020. I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people have so much trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of leaders trying
Yeah.
to lead people that are anxious, depressed, and down. And
Yeah.
that's why I think it's a perfect time to discuss our sponsor, BetterHelp. And what I love about them is it is an online Christian um, community of therapists that are licensed. You can go online, you fill out this survey. At the end of the survey, you get matched with somebody within 48 hours.
Yeah.
They tackle every area from depression, anxiety, fear, anxiousness, insomnia, you name it. They're literally going to walk you through it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to walk it through alone. And we want our listeners to know that, like, we believe in therapy. We both go to therapy. We go to couples therapy,
Yeah.
and it has been a blessing to our life.
Yeah, and I love that it's private, it's confidential, it's
Yeah.
personal. You don't have to be focused on, hey, I'm sitting inside of a waiting room. Oh my goodness, are they
Yeah.
who's gonna look at me? Who's gonna do that? I love the fact that we're utilizing technology to be able to help us push us forward.
Agreed.
So BetterHelp has been is an amazing sponsor. And also I want to mention, if you need financial aid
Yeah,
is
they have
available.
it.
So please do it, please apply for it. But we want you to start
Definitely.
living a healthier, a happier, and a healthier life
Come
today.
on.
As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/Lindseys. Join over 1 million people who've taken charge of their mental health. Again, that is BetterHelp. And that's HELP.com/Lindseys. And that's LINDSEYS. BetterHelp. Go to BetterHelp. And then also, getting right back into this conversation, how great is it to be able to, go to a sponsor like BetterHelp, but then also, for those everyday, daily things that you need,
Yeah.
use the Glorify app.
I agree 100%. I feel like I think it's brilliant. And thank you for creating and pressing through all those tests and things that you experienced to be able to reach and help people. You mentioned, I know that you're the co-founder of it. So I know you have a team. I know there's another founder. And then you kept saying we, and it made me think, okay, he must have a good team that believed in his vision and put in that sweat equity to make it happen. How did you build your team? I think that's one of the hardest parts. How did you build the team and keep the team? Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, so I think that is the hardest part, and it's the most important part, because where we are today is the sum of the parts of all of the team pulling together, to be able to get us there. And we've got about 35 people now, and we're so proud of every single one. Every person is just unbelievably talented, and really believes in the mission that we're doing. And I think when you start out, those hires, those initial hires, you move the needle for you so much, because they take so much away from you. So working out, like, firstly, do I have the resources to hire? Can I hire? Is the first crucial step. As soon as you realize, well, actually, I can hire someone, I can hire an extra resource, that output that you can create because suddenly there's 2 of you or there's 3 of you is just monumentally big. So it's such an important thing. And I see a lot of times some people hold off from that hire almost for too long, when maybe they actually do have the resources to be able to hire someone to help them out, because that output can be so much better. And then I think it's about finding people. I have this view is that when there's amazing talent around, we find something for them to do, rather than realizing that we need something to be done really badly and scrabbling around trying to find someone who's really good to do it. Because the worst thing to do is to hire when you're desperate for someone. Because I've always found that's when you're forced to make choices that you might not make if you weren't desperate for that role at that point. And so I have this kind of unwavering view that if we have our interview process, and I interview everyone who joins, and at the end, if I ever have a feeling that I'm not 110% convinced, then that's enough of a flag, because you are made by your team. And so you've got to have an unwavering view of hiring, people who are aligned with you, they're aligned with your mission, but also they're going to put in the same work level that you are.
That team is incredibly important. It's something that you mentioned, and I'm not going to get the words exactly right as you said it. But it was about, in the hiring process, not just hiring somebody because you feel like you have that need. It's like rushing into trying to build a team instead of really sitting down and evaluating, okay, these are the things that we need.
Yeah.
Here are the resources that we have, and here's the resources we can allocate towards building this team to ultimately, build or be able to push the product forward.
Sure.
I think that's so vitally important, because a lot of times we wait until we're desperate to finally find a new team member. And then in our desperation, we make all type of mistakes and we kind of overlook things, and there are red flags, but we kind of miss the red flags. It's just like, well, I'm desperate for somebody now. Then we get them in, and then we start to see the product does not go as far and the organization does not fare as well, because we let desperation guide us instead of, true sensibility. So I love that information.
Yeah, I want to know about the personal side, because we, married almost 11 years. We have 3 small children. We are busy all of the time, and we struggle, at times with that balance, especially after hours when the kids are home, they're home from school. I know you are married with a young family as well. Can you share with us how the app has helped you, and in addition, how you balance with your family?
Yeah, so I'm married with 2 little boys, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and that's been as you guys know so well, it's always a juggling act and a balancing act, and how do you prioritize? And it's always, for me, the family's got to come first, and then everything we've got to make work around it. But I want Glorify such a focus and priority of mine, then I just try really hard to always make it work around it. Normally means I sleep a little bit less, but I tend to go to bed incredibly early and then wake up pretty early as well, where I do my Glorify, I do my quiet time, I have time to work, and then I'm with the kids, and then I go into work and then see them for bedtime.
Absolutely love that.
That's amazing.
And I think my opinion, one of the biggest things is, having that structure that you have, this is something I have to stick to. And can I point this out as well?
Yeah.
That he said he wakes up early in the morning and he uses the Glorify app. I'm going to tell you why that's so important. Because you, as a creator, as a CEO, you're saying, hey guys, I use my product.
It's that good.
And, I think that's important, because a lot of times you don't necessarily see people who utilize their product. They're using it because they know, hey, this is something I don't just feel like is good for you. It's almost like if I created a multivitamin, am I taking it?
Right.
But you're taking it, you're getting something out of it. And I think that speaks volumes about you, and also about your team, and also about the app as well.
Yeah.
I did have one more. Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
I had time for one more question. I know earlier we talked about you being an angel investor. I mean, it's obvious that, the Lord has touched your heart, and that, you really want to see the kingdom of God expand, and you want to see, the faith begin to just spread throughout the nation. Could you talk more about your heart for that, your heart to see the faith expand, to see people come to know Jesus Christ, to get the scriptures, to get the meditation? Could you speak more to that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, I've just got this passionate belief, and it's behind Glorify, that the more often people connect with God. And so our motto is to get people to connect with God every day, and to help people connect with God every single day. And the more people do that, I call it that little and often. The more people do that, the better their relationship with God. And if you're ever in a time when you question, am I loved? Am I blessed? That's when you need that relationship with God. You need to strengthen that. And how do you strengthen that best? Well, all you need is a couple minutes every single day. And that just grows that relationship with him. I think sometimes people try and bite off too much, more than they can chew. And they're trying to, they're trying to spend half an hour, they're trying to read a whole chapter every single day of Old and New and Proverbs and Psalms. When actually a little and often, and then you build into that habit and those habits grow. And so my belief of that is the more people who do that, the more people will have, happiness, the more people that will be, content and know that they are loved and that they are truly loved by him. So my passion surrounds getting as many people to increase their relationship with God, because I know the amazing benefits that can bring upon someone's life. And if I can, build a mechanism that can encourage people to do that in an easier and encouraged way, then that is for the benefit of the whole of the human race. And that's that's what my passion is: connection with God and strengthening that, because the benefits of it are so bountiful and are so unbounding. It really is limitless. And if we all did that, and if we all were having that outlook of life, of what a strong relationship with God looks like, then what an amazing place our world would be in.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Do you have any last words, or do you want to share how people can find you? We know that the Glorify app is wherever apps are sold, so you guys can head on over there and download that app, check it out. It's amazing. I personally love it.
Yeah. And if you have any last words that you would like to just give our audience, now's your chance.
Well, I think, where you can find it on, any app store of your device. We are, for listeners here, giving a 50% off promo code with the promo code LWTL. And so, if you go into the profile section in the app, you can enter that in, and we're super excited to have you on our app. But I think the closing things for me is actually just really emphasize on that point I just made is, if you're ever in a point where where it's a little bit down, where you hit a hurdle, or you hit a hill, or actually it's a mountain, the only way to get over that, the only way is to trust in the Lord. And I really believe, little and often, just start connecting. Everyone has a different way of connecting. Some people it's through music, some people it's through scripture, some people it's through prayer. For me, worship music is such a big one. And find that channel really commits and really works for you, and gives you that great kind of communication channel with God. And I'll just do a little bit, every day, and just commit to a period. Just say, right, the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to do 5 minutes every day. And then and I think that makes such a difference. So that would be my last words. If that resonates with anyone, then great.
That's amazing. And I don't know if y'all heard him correctly, but you go to the Glorify app. It's 50% off, y'all.
50% off, you guys.
50% off. And I think the code is LWTL50. So go to the Glorify app, go into the settings. It's LWTL50. That's 50% off. This is absolutely amazing. Hey, we really appreciate you coming on the podcast, giving us some background behind why Glorify exists.
Yes,
and for a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs out there, just so many things they can take with them. So again, we really, really appreciate you being with us, Henry.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are awesome and love what you're doing. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.